Hi, my loves. Get ready. Today I'm spoiling you with multiple heart racing, butterflies everywhere love stories that will ruin your standards forever. Before we dive in, hit subscribe, smash that like, and comment right now. Your city. What time it is? Single, taken, or it's complicated. I'm reading every single reply with the biggest smile. Now grab your blanket, turn the lights low, because the next few love stories are about to make you fall stupidly, beautifully, hopelessly in love. Let's go. My name is Claire Hammond, and I live in a quiet, blue-painted house on the hillside above Asheville, North Carolina. Most people in town know me as the woman who bakes blueberry pies for charity drives and teaches art classes on weekends. No one really knows my heart. Not until he walked into my life. I was 41, divorced for 3 years, living a calm but hollow life that felt like a movie stuck on pause. And then, one warm April afternoon, something changed. Quietly, gently, and before I even realized it. It started with a knock on my porch railing. A warm, low voice said, "Ma'am, sorry to bother you. Your dog got out again." I turned and saw Ethan Ward, the new boy who had moved into the rental cabin down the street. He was 22, tall, shy, soft-spoken, wearing paint-splattered jeans and holding my golden retriever like she weighed nothing. I swear. The sunlight behind him made him look like summer itself. I asked, wiping soil from my hands. I had been repotting plants. He nodded. "Yes, ma'am. Moved from Denver, trying to get into the construction trade here." He kept calling me ma'am. I hated it. Not because of the respect, because it reminded me of the age gap I'd spent years trying to ignore in my head. I smiled anyway. "Please, call me Claire." His eyes lifted to mine, blue, surprising, open. The kind of eyes that make you feel seen in ways you don't expect. "Okay, Claire." And that's when I felt it. A shift. A slow warmth rising inside me like the first sip of wine after a long day. Something I didn't want to name. Over the next few weeks, Ethan showed up everywhere. At the farmer's market, at the hiking trail, at the lake where I walked my dog every weekend. Not intentionally. At least that's what he claimed. But each accidental meeting lasted longer than the one before. One evening, he stopped by to return a baking dish I had lent him. Instead of leaving, he sat on my porch swing with me, watching dusk settle over the Blue Ridge Mountains. The cicadas hummed, fireflies rose, the wooden boards creaked beneath our feet. He told me about his mom who passed away 2 years ago. I told him about my divorce, gentle, mutual, quiet. He said, "You're easy to talk to." I answered, "You make silence feel comfortable." He laughed softly, and I don't know why, but I felt it, deeply. Like someone touching a bruise I didn't know I still had. It was raining the night he came back. Hard rain, cold rain. The kind that smears the outside world into streaks of gray against window glass. I was painting in my living room when a knock echoed through the house. When I opened the door, Ethan was standing there soaked from hair to boots. Chest rising sharply, like he'd run all the way. I didn't know where else to go. His voice cracked. I stepped aside instantly. The moment the door closed, he started talking. Angry, frustrated, breathless. His job site shut down. His uncle stopped sending money. His truck needed repairs he couldn't afford. He wasn't crying, not really. Just standing there like a man who didn't know how to fall apart properly. I touched his wrist. He froze. Completely. I said softly, "You're safe here, Ethan." And with one exhale, he folded into me, slowly, carefully, like he was afraid I might disappear if he held too tightly. His forehead pressed against my shoulder. My hand slid up to his neck. The warmth of him, the scent of rain and pine, the tremble in his breathing. It felt like the universe realigning. After a long moment, he whispered, "I don't want you to think of me as a kid." I felt my heart stop. I whispered back, "I don't." His fingers lifted to my cheek, hesitant, gentle, asking permission without words. And then he kissed me, slow, soft, tender, in a way that unmade me completely. It wasn't a reckless kiss or a desperate one. It was the kind of kiss that asks, "Can I love you?" And my answer, without speaking, was yes. We didn't tell anyone, not at first. People talk in small towns, especially when a 41-year-old woman falls for a 22-year-old man. But love doesn't ask for permission. We spent the summer building something fragile and beautiful. He helped me repaint my porch. I taught him to cook. He took me to hidden waterfalls in the mountains. I read his old poetry journals. He never showed anyone. One night, lying under a blanket on the hood of his truck, he said, "You make me want to build a life worth growing into." I turned to him, the stars reflected in his eyes. "You make me feel young again," I whispered. He grinned. "You are young." I laughed, but God, the way he said it. I believed him. My biggest fear wasn't judgment. It was losing him. I told him one evening, "You'll wake up one day and realize you want someone younger, someone your age, someone without a past." He stepped closer, jaw firm, eyes steady. "I want you, Claire. Not an age, not a category. You." His certainty disarmed me. He didn't love me, despite the years between us. He loved me within them. He loved everything I thought I had outgrown. My quietness, my scars, my need for slow mornings, my cautious heart, and slowly, my fear dissolved. In September, he got a full-time offer at a construction company in town. Steady work, good pay, a future. He came home with the news and found me sitting on the porch swing. He knelt in front of me, hands on my knees, eyes soft and warm. "I want to stay here," he said. "With you?" My voice cracked. "Are you sure?" I've never been more sure of anything. And then he placed a small key in my hand. "I know it's too soon for rings, but this is the key to my cabin. I want it to be our place, and I want to earn the right to ask for more someday." My eyes filled instantly. I didn't need diamonds. I didn't need grand proposals. I needed him. So I whispered the only answer that felt true. "Then stay." He exhaled in relief and pulled me into his arms, lifting me off the ground as the porch light flickered above us. In that moment, the world felt small, soft, and safe. Like home. It's been 4 years since that night. Ethan is now a licensed contractor with his own small business. I run my art studio full-time. We split our days between my blue house and his cabin. People stare sometimes, whisper sometimes, judge sometimes. We don't care. True love isn't about timelines, or ages, or rules written by people who've never felt the kind of connection that rearranges your entire world. True love is this: a young man who saw beauty in the cracks of a woman learning to trust again, and a woman who found hope in the gentleness of someone who loved without fear. He is my beginning again, and I am his place to grow. And every morning, when he kisses my shoulder and whispers, "Good morning, beautiful," I thank God we found each other in a small North Carolina town on a quiet spring afternoon with a runaway dog and a shy smile that changed everything. My name is Olivia Carter, and I've lived in Willow Creek, Montana for almost my entire life. It's the kind of town where people leave their porch lights on at night, where the same families attend the same churches for generations, and where every face is familiar, even if you don't remember the name. I run the Willow Creek Public Library, a small brick building sitting between the post office and the hardware store. I've worked there for 14 years. I know every creak of the wooden floorboards, every dusty window frame, every kid who checks out Dinosaur Book every week. Life here is predictable, quiet, safe. At least, it used to be. Until he walked into the library one cold January afternoon. It was snowing outside, the kind of slow, drifting snowflakes that make the whole world feel like it's holding its breath. I was sorting returned books when the door chimed softly. I looked up and saw him. A young man, tall, broad-shouldered, dark curls dusted with snow, carrying a toolbox. His eyes scanned the room, and when they landed on me, he gave a quick, respectful nod. "Ma'am, I'm here for the furnace inspection." The ma'am again, always the ma'am. As if my age was written on my forehead. But his voice was warm, polite, deep. He introduced himself. "I'm Noah Hayes. My uncle runs the HVAC service in town. I'm apprenticing." 22, he later told me. 16 years younger than me. Practically a lifetime. Still. There was something about him I couldn't ignore. He kneeled beside the old furnace grate in the back hallway, and every few minutes his eyes flicked toward me, not intrusively. More like curiosity he was too shy to admit. When he finished, he wiped his hands and said, "Your furnace is old, but you're taking great care of it." I smiled. "I try." He hesitated. "You run this place alone?" I nodded. "Most days." He looked around slowly, at the books, the quiet corners, the soft yellow lamps. "It feels peaceful." I don't know why, but the way he said it made something warm flicker inside me. Like someone finally noticed the life I had built, the little sanctuary I tried so hard to keep alive. Noah started stopping by the library more often, sometimes for repairs, sometimes to check on the heating, sometimes just to drop off mail for the postman next door. But every time, he ended up talking to me, always casually, always respectfully. He'd sit across the desk from me while pretending to read brochures. He'd ask small questions like, "Do you like living alone?" Or, "Do you ever get bored here?" I told him the truth. I loved the peace. But sometimes the silence felt too heavy. His eyes softened, like he understood that feeling more deeply than someone his age should. That night changed everything. A winter storm slammed into Willow Creek, knocking out power across half the town. I stayed at the library late, making sure nothing had frozen or flooded. At 8:27 p.m., someone banged on the door. I opened it and saw Noah, cheeks flushed from the cold, jacket covered in snow. "I saw your lights were out. Thought you might need help." Before I could answer, thunder cracked overhead, shaking the windows. He stepped inside quickly, shutting the wind out behind him. I reached for a lantern, but my hands were trembling from the cold. Noah gently took it from me, his fingers brushing mine, warm, steady, grounding. He lit the lantern and placed it on the table between us. The soft flame painted his face in gold, highlighting the curve of his jaw, the softness in his eyes, the faint scar near his temple. Something about the quiet made the space between us feel intimate, too intimate. "You don't have to stay," I said softly. "Your family will worry." He shook his head. "I already called them, and I'm not leaving you here alone." There was no flirtation in his tone, no pressure, just sincerity. Something I hadn't felt in years. We sat near the study table, talking while the storm roared outside. He told me about moving here after his mother died. I told him about my engagement that ended 5 years ago. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said softly, "He must have been a fool." I looked at him, surprised, breath caught. His eyes met mine, steady, serious, burning with something I didn't dare name. "You deserve someone who sees you," he continued. "Really sees you." My breath trembled. "Noah." He leaned closer, elbows on his knees, voice low. "I don't care about the age difference. You're the most beautiful woman in this town." Heat rushed to my face, not embarrassment, recognition, a truth I had buried long ago. I tried to deflect. "You're young. You'll change your mind." He shook his head. "I know what I feel, Olivia." My heart hammered. The lantern flickered. The storm hushed for one moment, just one, like nature itself was listening. Then he said, "If you ever want me to stop, tell me. I'll walk out that door." He meant it. That's what made it real. That's what made it dangerous. That's what made me fall. I didn't plan it, didn't think, didn't rationalize. I just lifted my hand and rested it on his cheek. His eyes closed instantly, like he'd been waiting for that single touch for weeks. When he opened them again, he whispered, "Olivia." My name in his voice felt like warmth spreading under my skin. He leaned in slowly, giving me every chance to pull away. I didn't. When his lips touched mine, it felt like thawing after years of winter. Slow, tender, grateful. He kissed me like he couldn't believe I existed, and I kissed him like I finally remembered I was alive. Noah and I didn't jump into anything quickly. We grew into each other, carefully, gently. He'd visit the library in the mornings before work, bringing me coffee. I'd pack him lunches when he worked late on heating jobs. He fixed broken shelves. I helped him study for his certification exam. He became my warmth in the cold, and I became his calm in the chaos. One evening, while he was shelving returned books beside me, he said, "I want to build something real with you." My breath caught. "Noah, people will talk?" He shrugged lightly. "They talk about everything. Why should we sacrifice happiness for whispers?" I didn't answer, but the way he gently took my hand between the shelves, unseen, told him everything. By early April, the snow had melted, turning the Willow Creek River into a restless storm of white water. We walked along the bank one evening, boots crunching on gravel. He kept glancing at me. Finally, he said, "Do you ever think about us, like, properly?" My mouth went dry. He stopped walking and turned to me fully. "I know you think you're too old for me." I looked away. He touched my chin lightly, turning me back toward him. "But you're not. You're exactly right for me." His voice cracked with emotion. "I don't want girls my age. I don't want someone who doesn't know who they are yet. I want you. Your steadiness, your honesty, your kindness, your strength." I swallowed hard. He took a slow breath. "I'm falling in love with you, Olivia." The river roared, birds scattered. My heart opened like a door blown wide. I whispered, "I'm falling too." And he pulled me into his arms, lifting me slightly off the ground, holding me like I was something precious. Noah didn't care about small-town gossip. He didn't care about age. He didn't care about judgment. He cared about me, and I cared about him. We became inseparable, not in a dramatic way, in a peaceful, quiet, deeply natural way. He'd rest his head on my lap after long work days. I'd read to him while he fixed old lamps or polished tools. He cooked breakfast, I made dinner. He taught me how to fish, I taught him how to trust. We didn't feel like mismatched ages. We felt like two people who finally found the right rhythm. It's been 3 years. We live together in a little cedar cabin by the river. The library is thriving with new programs, thanks to Noah, installing energy-efficient heating that saved us money. He started his own HVAC business, and every morning, before leaving for work, he cups my face in both hands and says, "I'll love you when you're 38, 48, 58, 78, however long I'm lucky enough to have you." Sometimes I still worry about the future, but then he kisses my forehead and all the fear melts away. Because true love doesn't care about timelines. It cares about truth. And his truth is me, and mine is him. I am his home, and he is my warmth. My name is Vanessa Reed, and I own a small coffee shop in downtown Portland called Willow and Steam. It's a cozy place with exposed brick walls, the aroma of freshly ground beans and jazz, playing softly in the mornings. I love it. It's my sanctuary. I never thought my life would change here. Not at 45, divorced for 8 years, living alone in a loft above the cafe. Not until him. His name was Liam Brooks, 24, energetic, with messy sandy hair, and a smile that made the fluorescent lights feel warmer. It was a rainy Tuesday morning, the kind Portland does best. I was wiping down the counter, steam rising from the espresso machine, when the door swung open. A gust of cold air carried a soaked young man into the shop. He shook water from his jacket and looked around nervously. He approached the counter, eyes wide. Can I get a latte? Extra hot, with oat milk?" I smiled automatically. "Of course. You look like you just ran through a river." He chuckled nervously, shrugging. "Feels like it too, thanks." Something about him drew me in. Not his youth, but the way he fidgeted with his wallet, the hesitant way he smiled, the quiet sincerity in his voice. I handed him the latte, our fingers brushed, and for a split second, the entire world narrowed to that moment. "I'm Liam," he said, finally extending his hand. "Vanessa," I replied. We both laughed at the awkward formality, but I felt something. Over the next few weeks, Liam became a regular. Every morning he'd appear at the cafe just as I unlocked the door. Every morning he'd sit at the same corner table, pretending to read while sneaking glances at me. We began talking. At first, small talk. "Rain again? Traffic is terrible, isn't it?" Then, slowly, deeper things. He told me about leaving his hometown in Eugene to find work in Portland. I told him about my divorce, my struggle with loneliness, my fear that life was slipping by too quickly. He listened, like I was the only person in the world who mattered. And I realized I wanted him to listen forever. It was a Thursday evening. The cafe was empty except for us. Rain hammered the windows. I was stacking cups when he leaned forward over the table. "You ever get tired of doing this alone?" he asked. I glanced at him. "Sometimes." He smiled softly. "You shouldn't be alone. Not someone like you." I laughed nervously. "Someone like me?" "Strong, beautiful, kind, and intimidating in a way that makes me respect you, but also want to break down the walls." I felt my cheeks warm. I cleared my throat. "You're very bold for someone my daughter's age," he laughed. "Then call me foolish if it makes you feel better." And I did. call him foolish in my mind, but my heart? It didn't listen. One Friday, the cafe hosted a poetry reading. I stayed late after closing to rearrange tables when I heard a soft knock at the door. It was Liam, soaking wet again. "Forgot my umbrella," he said, grinning sheepishly. I stepped aside and he entered. "You shouldn't be here alone." "Neither should you," I replied. We sat at a small table near the corner, talking for hours, candles flickering, rain drumming outside. He told me things he'd never told anyone, his fears, his dreams, the guilt over leaving his parents' home. I told him mine, my regrets, my loneliness, my hope for something I thought was impossible. And then, without warning, he reached across the table and held my hand. I froze. He whispered, "I don't know why, but I feel like I'm supposed to be here with you." I swallowed hard. "Liam, you're so young." He shook his head. "Doesn't matter. I want this. I want you." And that's when I realized I wanted him too. A week later, during another stormy evening, we were cleaning up the cafe. He leaned over to help me lift a box of coffee beans, and our faces were inches apart. His eyes searched mine. "Vanessa, may I?" I nodded silently. His lips met mine, tentative, soft, and reverent. The kiss deepened slowly, carefully, like we were discovering each other for the first time. It was electric. It was tender. It was perfect. I felt 25 again. I felt alive. I felt loved. And the world outside the cafe disappeared. The months that followed were a mix of secrecy and bliss. He would help me with the cafe, fix things I couldn't, bring me flowers, leave me notes tucked under coffee mugs. I would teach him to make perfect espresso, correct his latte art, read poetry aloud with him in the quiet mornings. We fell in love without anyone noticing, except for my dog, who seemed to wag her tail extra hard whenever he was around. People in Portland can be curious. When he was finally spotted leaving my apartment in the evenings, whispers started. "She's too old for him. What is he doing with her?" It stung. I tried to pull back, telling him, "Maybe this isn't right." He held me close and said, "Vanessa, I've never felt like this before. And I don't care what anyone thinks. I want us, only us." And in that moment, I knew I couldn't let fear steal this love. It was a sunny Saturday, the rain finally gone, and cherry blossoms lining the streets. We were sitting on the cafe roof, wrapped in blankets, watching the city wake. He turned to me, eyes glimmering. "I know the age gap is big, but I can't imagine my life without you. You're everything I never knew I needed." I reached for his hands, squeezing them. "I love you too, Liam, more than I can say." He leaned forward and kissed me, long and deep, holding me like he never wanted to let go. Today, Liam works alongside me in the cafe. We renovate it together, plan events together, dream together. People still whisper, still judge, but they don't feel what we feel. True love doesn't care about years. It cares about the way someone looks at you and sees your soul. It cares about the way someone makes you laugh, heals your pain, and makes you feel complete. And Liam, he is my soul's companion. He's the storm and the calm, the warmth and the laughter, the love I never expected. And the love I never want to lose. We are happy. We are in love. We are unstoppable together. My name is Maggie Ellis, and I've lived in the Lake Tahoe area for most of my life. I run a small boutique cabin rental business with my husband's inheritance. A quiet, serene place surrounded by snow-capped mountains and pine forests. I've been divorced for 6 years. It was a quiet divorce. No drama, just the slow realization that we were no longer the same people. After that, I built walls around my heart. Walls I thought would keep me safe forever. Then came Ethan Parker, 25, a rock climber and photographer from San Diego who rented one of my cabins for the winter season. I had no idea he would change everything. It was mid-January, snow falling thickly, when he arrived. Tall, athletic, with tousled dark hair and eyes that seemed to see right through me. He carried a worn leather backpack and a camera slung over his shoulder. "Hi, I'm Ethan Parker. I'm renting the Pineview cabin," he said, extending his hand. I studied him. I rarely meet people who make me pause. Something about his confidence, soft, not arrogant, drew me in immediately. He smiled warmly. "Welcome, Ethan. I'm Maggie. I manage these cabins." We walked together through the snow, and he asked about the history of the cabins, about Lake Tahoe, about me. Not in a flirty way at first, just curious. Genuinely curious. 2 weeks later, a blizzard hit Tahoe harder than anyone expected. I was in the main lodge, checking logs and preparing firewood, when I realized Ethan's cabin might not be properly insulated. I bundled up and trudged through the snow, knocking on the door. "Ethan, everything okay in here?" He opened the door, cheeks flushed from the cold, hair damp, eyes sparkling with something I couldn't name. "I'm fine," he said, though I could see the fatigue in his shoulders. I noticed a small shiver, and before I could think, I said, "You should warm up. Come sit by the fireplace." He hesitated, then followed me into the living area. The fire crackled. Snow fell silently outside. The cabin smelled like pine, cedar, and wood smoke. He handed me his camera. "Want to see the photos I took today?" We huddled together on the couch, and I felt his shoulder brush mine. Heat flared unexpectedly in my chest. His voice was soft, excited, full of passion for the mountains, for photography, for life. And as he talked, I realized how much I missed being captivated by someone younger, someone vibrant. Later that evening, the storm had intensified. He was photographing the snow patterns against the window while I sipped hot cocoa. I reached to adjust a fallen blanket on the couch. My hand brushed his. I froze. He looked up, eyes locked. Nothing was said. A moment stretched between us, quiet, full of electricity. Then he moved his hand slightly closer, fingertips grazing mine. "Maggie," he whispered. I swallowed hard. "Yes?" He leaned closer. I can't stop thinking about you." My heart raced. My walls began to crumble. Over the next few weeks, Ethan stayed at the cabin longer than planned. We shared long hikes through snow-laden forests, coffee by the fireplace, and quiet nights under blankets while watching the snow fall. He taught me to snowshoe. I taught him how to make the perfect cocoa. Every touch lingered. Every glance said more than words could. One evening, after a long day of photographing the mountains, he took my hands in his. "Maggie, I know this is unexpected, and I know the age difference." "Stop," I said, laughing softly, though my heart was pounding. "I don't care about that, just tell me what you feel." He smiled, eyes intense. "I feel like I've known you forever. Like I was waiting for you without knowing it." He kissed me then, softly at first, tenderly, like the snow outside was holding its breath. And I kissed back, letting myself finally feel alive again. We were cautious. Tahoe is small, and people notice everything. I worried. What will they say? What will people think? Ethan would always reply, "We're not living for them. We're living for us." And he was right. We didn't hide inside the cabin. We hiked, skied, and explored together, hand in hand. People noticed, yes. They whispered, yes. But they didn't see the love, the trust, the depth between us. One night, we drove up to a remote spot to photograph the northern lights. The sky was ablaze with green, purple, and gold. We stood side by side, shoulders brushing, watching in silence. Then he turned to me. Maggie, I love you. I've never loved anyone like this before. Not for my age, not in my life. I love you. Every part of you. Tears pricked my eyes. Ethan, I love you too. I've been afraid to admit it, but I do. We kissed under the aurora, snow crunching under our boots, hearts beating together. Time didn't exist, only us. It's been 2 years since that winter. Ethan works remotely as a photographer, and I run the cabin business full-time. We've built a life that's ours. No apologies, no regrets. People still whisper occasionally. Some still raise eyebrows, but we don't care. True love doesn't measure age. It measures connection, trust, passion, and the courage to let someone in. Ethan is my fire in the cold, my laughter in the silence, my heart in a way I never thought possible again. And I am his safe haven, his warmth, his home. Together, we are unstoppable. My name is Julia Thompson, and I've lived in Sandpoint, Idaho, for nearly all my adult life. I work as the town's only floral shop owner, running Petals and Pines from a small brick storefront by the lake. Life here is quiet, predictable, sometimes painfully so. I was divorced for 7 years, living alone in a small loft above the shop. My life had a rhythm. Tending flowers, greeting customers, arranging bouquets, attending local events. I thought I was content, or at least, I thought I had learned to be happy with solitude. Then came Caleb Miller, 23, a summer intern at the local boating company with chestnut hair that fell in soft waves and eyes the color of the lake at sunrise. He didn't just enter my life, he upended it. It was mid-June, the lake shimmering under the early morning sun. I was arranging a display of wildflowers outside my shop when a young man walked past, pausing to watch. He wore a dusty baseball cap and jeans with faded knees, hands in his pockets, shifting nervously from foot to foot. "Excuse me, are you Julia?" he asked, voice soft but confident. I looked up. "Yes, and you are?" "Caleb, I'm new in town. My aunt suggested I get some flowers for the cafe she runs. She said you're the best florist in Sandpoint." I laughed lightly. "Well, that's flattering. Come in. I'll help you pick something special." From that first moment, there was a spark I couldn't explain. Not just attraction. A pull, subtle and insistent, like gravity. He handled the flowers with care, despite his awkwardness, asking questions about each bloom. I watched him, my chest tightening slightly as I realized I hadn't felt this kind of excitement in years. Caleb began stopping by almost daily, sometimes to buy flowers for his aunt's cafe, sometimes just to talk about the town, the lake, or the summer festivals. We began to share our mornings. I'd talk about arranging bouquets, teaching him about scents and textures. He'd tell me stories of growing up in Boise, of his love for the outdoors, his plans for the future. One day, while showing him how to craft a centerpiece for a wedding, our hands brushed. I felt a spark shoot up my arm, a reminder that despite the years, I was still alive. He looked at me, hesitant, as if testing boundaries. "You're amazing at this," he said softly. "Not amazing. Just practiced," I replied. though my heart beat faster than it had in a long time. And yet, I felt a thrill at the closeness, a dangerous, irresistible attraction. Late July, a thunderstorm rolled over Lake Pendoray. I was closing the shop when Caleb ran in, soaked from head to toe, hair plastered to his forehead, cheeks flushed. "Julia, I didn't know where else to go," he said, shivering. I handed him a towel and a cup of hot tea, noticing how his hands trembled. We sat together in the warmth of the shop, rain pounding the windows, lightning casting fleeting shadows across the flowers. He looked at me, voice low. I don't usually do this. Come to someone like this. I don't usually feel like this about someone older." My breath caught. "Older? You mean me?" He nodded, eyes earnest. "Yes, but I can't stop thinking about you." I swallowed hard, torn between caution and desire. "Caleb, you're young. You have your whole life ahead of you. He reached across the table, brushing my hand gently. "I know, and I've thought about it, but I want this. I want you." And just like that, the walls I had built around my heart for years started to crumble. That night, he walked me home. The streets were empty, the lake reflecting the storm's final raindrops. At my door, he turned to me. "Julia, may I kiss you?" I nodded before I could think. His lips were soft, warm, and tentative at first, testing the waters. Then deeper, slow, intentional. Every worry, every fear I'd held for years melted away under that kiss. It wasn't reckless, it was tender. It was the beginning of something real, something neither of us could deny. Over the next few weeks, we moved carefully. Morning walks along the lake, laughing and holding hands. Picnics on the dock, watching the sun rise over the mountains. Long conversations about love, heartbreak, and dreams while arranging flowers. We discovered small things about each other. The way he always checked the petals for imperfections. How I laughed too loudly at bad jokes. How our hands fit together perfectly when he held mine. Every touch lingered. Every glance said more than words. I realized I was falling in love. Deeply, irrevocably. With someone 16 years my junior. Of course, doubt crept in. What are people going to say? Is this appropriate? Am I being selfish? I voiced these fears one evening as we sat on the rooftop of my shop. City lights reflecting in the lake. "Caleb, I'm scared. People might talk. I'm scared for us." He held my face gently in his hands. "Julia, I don't care what anyone says. I care about you. That's all that matters." His certainty gave me courage. A week later, we went boating at sunset. The lake was still, reflecting the pink and orange sky. He held my hand, gazing at me with an intensity that made my knees weak. "Julia, I love you. I've never felt like this before. Not for anyone. Not in my whole life. I love you. I love everything about you." Tears filled my eyes. "Caleb, I love you too." I was scared to admit it, but I do, completely. He pulled me close, holding me tightly as the sun dipped below the mountains. That moment, with the lake beneath us and the sky ablaze above, I felt complete. Now, 2 summers later, Caleb and I are inseparable. He works part-time at the marina and helps at the shop, learning about flowers, business, and life. I've learned to let go of fear. We live in the loft above petals and pines. Every morning he brings me coffee and flowers, whispering, "I'll love you today, tomorrow, and always." People still talk. Small towns never stop. But we don't care. True love doesn't care about age. It doesn't care about whispers. It cares about connection, trust, and the courage to love someone fully. Caleb is my heart, my warmth, my laughter, my home, and I am his safe harbor, his calm, his love. Together, we are unstoppable. Together, we are alive. Together, we are love. My name is Claire Henderson, and I own a small, independent bookstore in Asheville called the Bookstore of Hearts. It's a quaint little place tucked away on a cobblestone street, with dark wooden shelves, warm lighting, and the faint smell of old paper mingling with fresh coffee from the cafe corner. I've been divorced for nearly 10 years. My life had fallen into a predictable pattern. Opening the shop early, arranging books, chatting with a few regulars, spending evenings alone in my apartment upstairs, reading or watching old movies. I thought I was content with my routine, even proud of it. Life had taught me patience, resilience, and independence. Then, one rainy October morning, everything changed. I was straightening the poetry section when I heard the bell above the door chime. A young man stepped inside, shaking rain from his navy jacket, hair damp and curling slightly at the ends. "Hi, do you sell journals here?" His voice was soft, almost hesitant. I looked up. "Yes, of course, right over here." He followed me to a small display, brows furrowed as he examined the selection. "Thanks. I'm Ryan." I smiled, extending a hand. "Claire, nice to meet you." There was something about him, 24, perhaps 25, that immediately caught my attention. Not just his youth, but a quiet intensity, the way he observed the shelves, the light in his eyes when he lingered on the titles. He chose a leather-bound journal and lingered near the poetry section, glancing at the spines as though each book might speak to him. I wanted to tell him to stay longer. I wanted to show him my favorite corners, but I didn't. I merely smiled as he finally approached the counter. "I'll take this one," he said softly. "Excellent choice," I replied. When our hands brushed as he paid, a subtle jolt ran through me. I wasn't supposed to notice such things anymore. I was 46, experienced, careful. Yet here I was, heart fluttering, unexpectedly alive. Ryan started visiting more frequently. At first, he came for journals, books on philosophy, poetry, and occasionally cookbooks. We began chatting about authors, about life, about the little curiosities of the world. I discovered he was new to Asheville, working remotely for a graphic design firm. He was shy but thoughtful, articulate, intelligent, and funny in a quiet way. Sometimes he lingered for hours, reading at one of the small tables in the corner while I arranged the shelves. Sometimes we talked about nothing, letting silence settle comfortably between us. One afternoon, as I recommended a book of poems by Rumi, our hands brushed while passing the volume across the counter. "Claire," he said softly, voice almost trembling. I like talking with you." I smiled, heart warming. "I like talking with you too." There it was, the spark, the beginning of something neither of us had expected. Late October brought heavy rains. The shop was empty except for us, the sound of raindrops against the windows creating a rhythm that made everything feel intimate. Ryan lingered by the poetry section, glancing at me occasionally. Finally, he spoke. "Can I be honest?" "Of course," I replied. I find myself thinking about you, about your voice, your smile, the way you organize the books. I can't explain it, but I feel drawn to you." My chest tightened. "Ryan, I hesitated, recalling the years I told myself I was done with love. That excitement, desire, and vulnerability belonged to someone younger. But here he was, earnest, patient, and undeniably sincere. I know I'm young, he continued, but I can't help how I feel. I reached out and brushed a damp strand of hair from his forehead. I can't help it either, I whispered. Our hands lingered together. The warmth between us was tangible, almost overwhelming. It happened naturally, one evening after closing. I was locking the doors when Ryan stayed behind, hesitant. May I? He asked softly. Before I could answer, he leaned in, lips meeting mine in a gentle, tentative kiss. It was electric, slow, tender, and full of unspoken promises. A kiss that acknowledged years of loneliness, of careful walls, of fear finally letting go. I pressed closer, realizing how long I had craved this. Connection, warmth, affection that wasn't just fleeting, but deeply rooted. When we finally broke apart, our foreheads touched. I don't want this to end, he whispered. Nor do I replied, my voice trembling. The next weeks were a slow, careful exploration of what we could be together. Morning coffees at the cafe across the street, long walks along the Blue Ridge Parkway, quiet evenings in the bookstore, after hours, reading aloud to one another. Every touch, every glance, every conversation deepened our connection. Ryan taught me to let go of fear. I taught him the nuances of literature, the quiet power of reflection, and the importance of small, thoughtful gestures. We fell in love without rush, slowly, gently, like two rivers merging into one. People noticed. Friends, neighbors, and regulars whispered, "She's almost twice his age. Is this appropriate?" At first, it stung. I questioned myself, my judgment, even the authenticity of our feelings. One evening, after a day of subtle stares and pointed comments, Ryan took my hands and looked me in the eyes. Claire, I don't care what anyone says. I care about you, only you. His certainty, so strong and unwavering, melted away my doubts. You're right, I said softly. This is our life, not theirs. It was early November. Leaves swirled across the cobblestone streets outside, fiery reds and golds reflecting the fading sunlight. We sat on the small balcony above the shop, sipping hot chocolate. Claire, he began, eyes glimmering with emotion. I know I'm young and I know people will talk, but I love you. I love everything about you. Your mind, your heart, your laugh, your soul. I can't imagine a life without you. Tears pricked my eyes. Ryan, I love you too. I've been so afraid to admit it, but I do, completely. We embraced, the city lights flickering below us, leaves rustling around, a soft wind carrying the scent of autumn. It was perfect. It was real. 2 years later, Ryan works full-time remotely, splitting his days between the bookstore and his creative projects. We've made a home together in the loft above the store. Every morning, he brings me coffee and a single fresh flower, a reminder of the life we are building. We've grown stronger together. People still whisper, yes, but we don't care. True love doesn't measure age. It doesn't bow to societal expectations. It grows in honesty, respect, and mutual passion. Ryan is my laughter, my warmth, my muse, my home. And I am his safe harbor, his anchor, his heart. Together, we've discovered that love, in its purest form, is timeless. And in this bookstore of hearts, surrounded by the scent of paper and flowers, we've written our own story, one that will never fade.